All right, thanks for coming, everyone. Good to see so many faces here for the Flinders Cybersecurity Society. Got a few more people getting settled. Cool. All right, so tonight we're going to look at Burp Suite, which is a web application penetration testing tool, and we'll be quite an interactive session. We'll be taking it quite slow, doing things step by step, so everyone should have the opportunity to get hands-on experience. A bit of an outline for the workshop tonight. We'll start with setting everything up for everyone. We've got instructions for if you're on a Mac, if you're on Windows or Linux, so we shouldn't have any problems. And then we'll get into a bit of an introduction onto what Burp Suite is and who are the people using it and some of the use cases for it. And then we get into our challenges or demos, and there's some beginner ones that I'll be walking through. Everyone here should be able to understand what's happening in those. They're quite straightforward. If you've used web applications before, Facebook, etc., you'll be able to comprehend. And then Lucas will be going through some of the more intermediate or advanced use cases. So we'll start with what exactly is Burp Suite. So it's a software tool. It's made by a company called Portswigger, and so you download Burp Suite. And it sits between your browser and the internet, and it just captures all the traffic, and you can modify your requests. So and send those off modified, and they come back, and you can also modify the response as it's coming back into your web browser. And there's also so many you can brute force login fields, etc. So you essentially have your browser running. Burp Suite, when it's running, it sits in the middle. It captures all the traffic before the traffic heads out and to the server or to the website. Is everyone connected to the Wi-Fi here or has internet connection? I'll leave that slide up for a couple of seconds in case anyone needs the password. Otherwise, I'll continue on. Cool. Shout out if you do need it again. We'll get one of the Cybersecurity Society members to come and give you a hand. This link, please go to that link and download. It's just a text file. It's got a list of passwords that we're going to use in the demonstration to brute force a login. So it's just, that will take you to OneDrive with a download. Just make sure you download that one. I'll leave that up for a bit. Anyone need a bit more time for that slide? Everyone got the link? Cool. Continue on. All right, so if you haven't already, the next step is to download Burp Suite. It's just the community edition. It's free. Following that link, if you Google it, it's the first link that comes up when you Google Burp Suite. On my screen, I'll also be going through the process. If you're on a Mac or Windows, it's install as usual, download the executable and run it. On Linux, there's a few extra steps which I'll demonstrate on screen. So we have our .sh file that we downloaded. I'm going to open a terminal. And on the PowerPoint slide, the last 2 dot points are the commands we want to run. In that order, so first we're going to add the executable permission to the Burp Suite installer. And so that will allow us to then execute, and that will open the installer as if you just, same as it would be on a Mac or Windows. Again, if you need any help with those steps, put your hand up or shout out. Alright, so mine's installed. On Linux, you can open it just by typing in terminal Burp Suite, and that will load and open Burp Suite. So if you've downloaded it, please install it and launch it. How are we looking? Are we installed and opened, or are we still installing? What's the consensus? Anyone got any issues? Cool. All right. Assuming everyone's got it installed, please shout out if you haven't. So when we launched Burp Suite, we agreed with a project setup. Because we just have the free version, there's only a temporary project option available, so we'll go next, and we're just going to use the default configuration. We'll initialize our project. So this is the landing page for Burp Suite. Our main modules are along the top here in the second row. Main ones we'll be using tonight is Proxy, Intruder, and Repeater. So now we're going to set up the options, the settings within Burp Suite and our browser to allow the communication between both Burp Suite and the browser, and that will allow us to intercept our traffic. So with Burp Suite open, go to the Proxy tab along the top, and then below that, one down, Options. It may be called Proxy Options on yours, depending on what operating system you're on. And you should have proxy listeners, which will indicate the IP address and the port on which Burp Suite is running. We're going to use this we're going to change these settings in our browser that will allow us to capture all the traffic that runs between them. So now in your browser, this will only work for Firefox or Chrome. So if you don't have one of those browsers, please download it now. So in Firefox, go to add-ons and themes. In Chrome, it's very similar. Go to the Chrome Web App Store. Along the top here, we have a search, and we're just going to search for FoxyProxy. It's the name of the browser extension. And on Firefox, it's FoxyProxy Standard. It's got 200,000 users. And we're just going to add that to Firefox. Anyone having any issues with that step? If you're on Windows, the Proxy Options tab may be called Proxy Settings. Everyone got FoxyProxy installed on their browser? Cool. If you should now have an icon along the top for FoxyProxy. If you don't, there'll probably be another image icon there just to expand your extensions, and that should be visible within that submenu. So we're going to click on FoxyProxy. That'll bring up the window. We want options. If you're on Google Chrome, I believe it looks a little different, but there should still be settings or options somewhere. And then we're going to add a new proxy. And this is where we want to copy across those IP and port details from within Burp Suite. So in FoxyProxy, we're going to call it Burp. And then down in the IP address settings, we're going to type in everything before the colon from Burp Suite in the interface. So it's usually 127.0.0.1. And the port is everything after the colon, so port 8080. And they're the only details we need, and we can save it. Once that's saved, you can click on your FoxyProxy icon again, and you'll see that you'll be able to switch over to the Burp proxy. When we switch over to that, that will route all our traffic through Burp Suite, which is what we want. Just leave it off for now, don't switch that over to Burp. All right. Everyone done? Everyone got that part done? Cool. All right, the next step, if we set this to Burp and try and go to a page like Google, we'll get an error because we don't have the correct certificate, and it's not, our browser's picking up that we don't have a secure connection. So to get the certificate, we have to have Burp Suite open, and on your browser, type in localhost :8080, and that should bring you to this page. And on the top right, there's a button called CA certificate, and you want to click that, and that will download the certificate and just save that file. Once that's downloaded, if you're on a Windows or Linux, follow these steps, which I'll go through now. If you're on a Mac, there's an extra step, or rather another way that you have to go about doing this, and that's on the next slide, so just sit tight. So, to go to your browser settings, and just search for certificate. And it's something along the lines of view certificates. On Chrome it's worded differently, but it's very similar. That'll bring up our certificate manager, and we want to make sure we're along the top authorities, and we want to import and just select the file that we downloaded, that ca cert.der. You'll be asked if you want to trust it, and you want to select trust to identify websites, but leave email users unticked and go. Save that. And then if we now try Google again, that should get us straight through. Cool. If you're on a Mac, you'd still download that file, but then just double click on it in Finder, and it should bring up your keychain. When you double click on this file and it's brought up keychain, it should have already copied across the certificate, and it should be in that list. It would be called something along the lines of port swigger. And if it is there, you double click on it, and it'll bring up, on the PowerPoint, it'll bring up that window. You have to expand the little trust subheading and set this SSL secure sockets layer to always trust. And that's basically doing the same thing we did as importing it into our certificate manager in browser. So is there anyone with a Mac who hasn't been able to do that? Nice. All right, we're all ready now to start testing the security of our web application. So I'll just take a moment to make sure that everybody is set up and has had all those steps completed. Cool. So tonight we're going to be using, it's called Juiceshop. It's a little web application that we have set up. We didn't make it, we're just hosting a copy of it. It's made by OWASP, and they are one of the, they're an authority on web vulnerabilities. So you can go to that link that's on the bottom of the slideshow. It's juiceshop.flinderscybersociety.org, And once you get to there, you'll be asked to create a team or join a team. So just go to that. You'll get to a page similar to this. Once you've either joined a team or created a team, you'll get a little orange button down the bottom called Start Hacking, and you want to click on that one, and that takes you into our Juiceshop. The link, yep. It's on the slideshow back there. Otherwise, okay. So it's Juiceshop, Juiceshop .flinderscybersociety.org. Is that also in Discord? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm also in the Flinders Cybersecurity Discord channel now. If you can't, it's too blurry to read.
It's on the gym.
You can just put your name in there. All right, so like I mentioned in Burp Suite, there's the three main modules we're going to be looking at tonight. The first is Proxy, and that is what's letting us capture our traffic, which will be demonstrated momentarily. The Repeater module is very similar to the Proxy module, except you can, as I'll demonstrate with Proxy, when you can change the fields in the request, and after you send it off, you can no longer change those fields, it's gone. With Repeater, you can keep modifying and sending and examining on how that's changing the request. The Intruder module lets you pick out in that request to the server, certain fields or pieces of text that you want to change on different instances of that request. So yeah, we'll be using that later to brute force a login. So to use the Proxy module, I'm going to go to the Proxy module and go to the Intercept tab along the bottom of those submenus. And there's a little button in the middle called Intercept is off. That means we're not actually capturing any of our traffic, we're just letting it all go through Burp Suite. So if we click that, it now tells us Intercept is on, and any requests that come through are going to be held in Burp Suite and not sent to the web server, so we'll be able to modify them before we forward them on. So we have our Intercept on, and then over in our browser, we want to, if you haven't already, change the FoxyProxy settings to use the Burp proxy that we just configured. And you can see I've already started collecting requests. So if I expand, I'll open up Burp Suite, and this is one of our requests we've captured. So it's shown the request methods post and the extension to the URL after the juiceshop.cybersecurity. And things like cookies are in here and any parameters. So if we capture another request, you can see that my browser is not reloading the page, it's just spinning. It's because the request hasn't been actually sent to the browser. So we can either forward it or drop it. Dropping it just deletes it, doesn't forward it onto the server, we won't get a response back. If we forward it, it will be as if we never captured it and it's just been forwarded onto the server. So I'll hit forward, and then our page is refreshed. Turn Intercept off to then allow any other requests just go straight through. repeater module. We get to that, we capture a request. On the request in Proxy, right-click it, and we have these options here to send that request to the different modules. So we send it to the repeater, and we can see that the repeater subheading has now been highlighted. We click on that, we see our request. We can go in and change certain things. We can change the cookie, we can change things, and then send it, and we get the response down the bottom. It hasn't refreshed in browser, and we can continue modifying and sending it and seeing how that will change the response. I'll get into Intruder later. So this is where we start our challenges or demonstrations. So in the Juiceshop, first thing we're going to do is try and log in as the admin. The first challenge is to find what the admin login email is. So you can see if we go to the login page of the Juiceshop, it expects an email and password. We don't know the admin password. It is in here somewhere. I know it's in the Apple Juice reviews. They've left a review, and it's admin@juice-sh.op. So we have half of it. We have the email, but we don't know the password. So what we can do is we can go to the login and put in the email that we know. It's admin@juice-sh.op. And for the password, we're just going to put 123. It doesn't matter what it is. We're not going to try and log in with that password. But before you click login, you need to make sure we have the Burp suite set in FoxyProxy, and also that we are intercepting. If that's all good, we're going to try and log in. You can see, drop that one. If you get the packet you're not looking. If you get a packet you're not looking for, we know that we want one to include email and password. So either forward them or drop all the requests until you see the one you're after. So if you get one coming up that isn't showing email and password down the bottom, just forward them along until you get to that one. And from here, we're going to want to use the intercept module because that's the one that we use to brute force requests. So right-click that request once you've got it, and send it to Intruder. All right, within the Intruder module, we want to be on the position subheading, and that's going to allow us to specify in the request which field we are going to try and attack or try and brute force. So if you're at this step, you can see that there's the highlighted fields, and that's just what Burp Suite's come up and said, hey, you might want to be, these are the fields that we think you might want to be attacking. We want to clear all of them on the right because we only want to do the password. Once we've cleared them, double-click the password, the 123, or whatever you've put, and hit Add at the top. Now we're only going to be switching up that field. And then we're going to switch over to the Payloads tab, which is the one just after Positions. The first field payload sets, we only want one set of payloads because we're only going to be swapping out the one field, just the password. Payload options, this is our word list. This is where we're going to use the text password file that we downloaded at the start. So we want to load in and we just want to find that text file of passwords that we downloaded. Like so. Once we've got the password list loaded in, we can hit the Start Attack button on the top right, orange Start Attack. That'll bring up a new window. We hit OK, and that will attempt to submit that login for each of those passwords. So that's finished. We can see the result of each different payload set. So every time it's submitted this request, it's used the same email, but it's been changing the password for each of our payloads that we've loaded in. In the status column, we can see that there is one that stands out with the 200. It's admin123. If you know about HTTP requests, status 200 is okay, and status 401 is unauthorized. So admin123 is the password we're looking for. And we can go back to our Juiceshop, turn the intercept off because we no longer want to be capturing that, and change the password to admin123, and you should be able to log in successfully as the admin. Anyone had any issues with that or has not been able to get to that stage? Okay. For challenge 2, we're going to try and post a review as another user. So we want to go to an item in the Juiceshop and start to write a review. It doesn't matter what product you go to, but so for example, I'll put in before we send the feedback, we want to go back to Burp Suite and make sure our intercept is on. We'll submit the feedback, and we're going to get our request, and at the bottom you can see it's got our message and also the author of that review. From here, we're going to right-click the request and send it to our repeater module, which will allow us to send multiple copies of this request to the server, and we'll be able to modify each one. In our repeater module, in the request, we want to scroll down to get to our message, and we can change the message or the author. So we can change our author here to whatever we like, another email, a name. And we can send that request, and we get the response back saying success. We can go back up to the request and we can make continuous changes. We can change the message. We can change whatever we like. Hit send, and we'll see if these are actually coming through on Juiceshop. So back to the proxy, we'll turn our intercept off to stop capturing traffic and reload the page. Go back down to the product we were writing feedback for, and we can see that our forged feedback has come through. And that's it from me. I'll pass over to Lucas to go through some more advanced applications of Burp Suite within Juiceshop. Thanks, guys.
Can everyone hear me all right? So I'm going to take that as a yes. My name is Lucas McVey. I'll be going through the intermediate and advanced challenges. This is just going off of what Jack did before, which is the beginner Burp Suite kind of challenge. Some of these may be a bit complex to do in the workshop, but you will have access to these slides, and we will be having a GitHub repository available for everyone to go back on and see if they can finish the challenge if they haven't finished it. And so some of the commands can be quite lengthy. So I won't be able to put them in the Discord as of right now. So if you can follow along, that'd be good. I guess we'll just get started. So for the first part, my suggestion is just to have like the Burp suite enabled, if you can see that on the FoxyProxy. And then in Burp suite, I recommend having intercept off, only because there's going to be multiple requests. So it's going to have a bit of a complicated problem if you have to keep manually pressing forward. In regards to Juiceshop, at least with this instance, it does have these occasional URLs. It polls random times, just ignore that. And we'll get started to the next slide. All right. So for the first step, we're going to be creating a account. So if you got admin access, just log out. We're going to not yet a customer. By the way, if I'm going too fast, just let me know. You can put whatever you want. I'm just going to put test at test.com. For the purposes of this, you don't really need a secure password, so I'm just putting password. Same for that. The security question, you kind of have to do it. I'm just going to put like password for the security question. It's purposely vulnerable web application, so it's fine. Just don't do this in like real life. Not recommended. So is everyone up to that stage yet? I'm going to take that as a yes. The professional version costs money. So for the purposes of this workshop, we're going to be using the free version, but that covers everything you need. So professional just allows for extra features and that. So I think it's a bit expensive to like purchase as well. Oh, really? Nice. So we go register. So with that, if you can remember the email and password, just log in. Alright, so now we've done that, we can just add any item to the basket. It doesn't really matter. The first few are probably the easiest, so we just add to the basket. Should come up with a little one up here. You can see it's been added. So once you've done that, just go back to Burp Suite. You'll be looking through a post method with the URL of API basket items. Once you do that, just right click and send to repeater. If you want me to slow down, just let me know, because I have a feeling I'm going a bit too fast. Yeah. Sure.
Is there a way to search through the URLs that you define specific ones?
Control F? No, Control F does not want to work. Because when I did this myself, I didn't have a whole bunch of these socket, pings every few minutes. Yeah, so you might just have to like scroll through a couple times. It is the /API/basket items. Yeah, the image on the PowerPoint slide does look a bit blurry. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to right click. Yeah, API basket items. So I just go right click, send to repeater. And here, is where you're going to modify some stuff. I'll leave this open for a bit more. Basically, the purpose of this is to add additional items to another user's basket, which is the point of you creating the account. By doing that, you essentially just add a second basket ID item. Because if you were to change the number, right, so if I were to change it to like 1, it will detect that due to the cookies and the authentication token, it'll be incorrect. So by putting the original on 6, and then the user, the new user should hopefully be 1, if this is correct, it will do that one first, realize that's actually not correct, and go to this one. So if I just go send, if all goes well, or not, alright, what went wrong? If I just go back, I think I know what I did wrong. So in order to do this properly, you have to change the product ID as well as basket ID. So the product may not necessarily be in the basket. So because there's a few different products, we're going to have to try a couple. I'm going to try product ID 1. Alright, let's see if that works. Nope. 24 works. Alright. For the product ID? Sweet. I guess that's the thing about just technology in general. You can learn from other people. Yeah, it does work. Alright. I'm guessing that's because, yeah, the product may not exist in the cart. That's probably why, my guess. Alright, so once you've done that, you're basically done for that challenge. It should come up with manipulate basket. And then if you did what I did and stuff up, it would say like, you have done an error handling challenge as well. So is everyone alright with that? Yep. What about in the Discord? I'm guessing everyone's alright with that as well? So basically, you're meant to add like a different product into another user's basket. So essentially, you know, if you were to do this further, you would be able to like use someone else's account to purchase products for yourself, which could be, you know, pretty bad depending on how much you buy. It should come up, you know, with a green kind of bar at the top. I will go on to another slide now, which is the second challenge. This is going to be a more complex challenge, so if you can't do this one, it's alright. What I'll do is just go back and just clear the history so it makes it easier to see. So go back. Alright. So basically for this, you want to go to really any URL in Burp Suite, just not the soccer.io one. Don't need that one. So if it's like a GET request, POST request, doesn't matter. What you've got to look for is the authorization bearer token. That one is what we're going to be focusing on. So for this, what you're going to do, I recommend going right click and send to repeater right now. Then after that, essentially what you're going to do, before the first dot, like full stop, you want to copy that. go to a website called Cybersecurity. I would do it in Burp Suite because they do have an option of what we're going to do, which is decoding and encoding, but it doesn't work too well. It's not really powerful enough. So because of this, I'm going to go to Cybersecurity. This is where it can get a bit confusing. We're going to be mostly doing to and from base 64. So if I go drag from base 64 onto the recipe part, then you want to copy and paste what you originally put. Is everyone following all right with this? Yep. A bit more time? Yeah, fair enough. For anyone who's like struggling in that, after we've done this challenge, you're going to take a break. You know, it could be like a Q&A, just to you know, help with anyone's issues, or if they've got any questions they want to ask. But for now, I'll just continue. So what you want to do for this is you want to copy from the output. I recommend, while I'm here, I'm actually going to get a notepad up, because this is going to get quite lengthy. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put none. I'll skip that. So once you've done that, you want to copy it again. You want to go back and paste that into the input. It will come up as gibberish in the output. That's because you're going to go drag that. So drag the base 64 recipe back into the operations panel and drag the to one. And now you get this base 64 string back again, but with an actual different code. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but the point of this challenge is it basically just to forge a signature, like the authorization code, for a user that doesn't exist. We'll be changing the email address just in a second. So what we'll do is copy and paste that into a notepad. Oops, backwards. All right, so yeah, we've done that. We go back to repeater. You want to copy everything up until the second dot. The stub after it is basically just a base 64 like encrypted string, and it's, you know, useless for us. Like, we can't do anything with it. So we're just going to right-click, copy again, and then go back here, Cybersecurity, and basically do the same thing. I'll just allow for about 30 seconds for if anyone needs to catch up. It's a lot of repetitive stuff, so. Oh, and by the way, this particular code, I'm pretty sure will be unique to everyone. So you're not going to be able to just copy the input, because it's unique to your account. It's like in here. So you know, if you try to copy mine, it won't work. What was that? So once we've done that, I forgot to move the slides back over. All right, there we go. Now we're going to do the same things before. We drag the recipe onto the operations panel. Drag it, what was it, from base 64 one? Yep, there we go. You can see how we got actual clear text stuff there. So now we copy that and put that into the notepad. If I put word wrapping on, whatever that is, just to make it easy to see, there we go. Alright, so it's fairly long, but what you want to do is change this one. You want to change the email address. You want to change it to jwt-sh.op. And that's basically all you need to do for the actual the step. So I'm going to copy this and put it back in here. Once again, once you put it in here, it will turn out as gibberish. So you're just going to go from base 64 and then go to base 64. And then you'll get this code. We're on to the last step now, so if it's a bit overwhelming, we can just about finish up. So go back to my notes, copy paste that. What I'm going to do is, so you want something similar to the picture, which may or may not be easy to see. You want the bottom part, which is the big long code. You want to copy and paste the first part here, attach it to the other part. If you got an equal sign, you got to change that to a dot, and you got to add a dot here. So if you look at this last one, that should be much more readable. It should look something similar to that in terms of the text and then the dot on each, the last part, and then the first kind of string part, like up here. Once you copy that, going to go back to Burp Suite, and if everything went all right, you paste it, and should be able to send. Or not. It did seem a bit short. Did I miss something? I wonder. Yeah, it did seem short. Well, looks all right. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'll do. There should be a dot at the end. Yeah. Yep. I got my own personal notes, and it's like basically everything I've done. So. Oops. Yeah, it should be something similar to that, or on the slide. I have a feeling it's the first part. What we'll do is copy that again. Need to base 64. Yep. The authorization bearer token, that'll be the same for the account. So if there's something wrong with it, you can just go back to a different one. So I'm just going to go back to this one, send it to repeater, and I'm just going to replace the text. See, otherwise I might have to like come back to this one later. It does seem quite short. I feel like I know what I did. That's because I accidentally pasted over the whole entire thing. I meant to include the third part, which I didn't do anything with, which is probably why it's so short. So if you go and copy and paste that just before the dot, I got an extra dot, so I remove that, and then it should work. Looks like it works fine. Yes, and you solved the challenge. Basically, forged a signature to impersonate a user to basically sign in. I know it's a difficult challenge. Even I stuffed up. So, if you want, we can like go through it like after the workshop. Just post on Discord for any help at all. And yeah, that's basically it. We'll go to a break. Thank you.
Cool. So that basically completes the instruction part. We're happy to stay here a bit longer, and we probably all will. You can either ask some questions to Lucas. There are microphones on your desk you can use. If you want help with any of the challenges that happen tonight, just put your hand up and someone will come around and help you. If you do want to be an extreme hacker, what we'll do is we'll pull up the leaderboard here. So if you want to try your luck on any of the other challenges from anywhere, you can see your name slowly go up on the leaderboard. But yeah, if you have any questions, Lucas is going to stick around. Jack's here to help. Yeah, any questions? Anyone want help?
If anyone's taken much notice of the stream, if you're like online, are we providing some extra resources on some of the challenges? So for most of the OWASP Juiceshop, at least not in this case, but normally you have like a scoreboard. Actually, it's right there. So basically, you see how you got the hashtag with the search. After the hashtag, just put scoreboard. You can see all the challenges available. I have it if it's solved, unsolved, and I have some hints. So if you just click on each hint, it will take you to a website. I'll put this in the Discord if anyone wants to follow. So that way you can learn on your own time. So for the signature one, it was a 5-star one. It was unsigned JWT. It says solved. So I think if you go, it tells you once you solve it on how to like mitigate against it, whether that be like in code or any practices and that sort of thing. So I would recommend doing from level 1 to like easy difficulty. Technically, even accessing the scoreboard is a challenge, but like you just gotta put the URL up there, the scoreboard. So this Juiceshop instance, it's only run for this workshop. I'm not sure if we have. I don't think we have an option really for this. I know TryHackMe does have a Juiceshop instance that we can that you can connect to. But we can provide some resources after the workshop on how you can set up your own and just help in general. So I think that's it, and yeah, thank you.
So hi everyone. We will go ahead and conclude tonight's event. I just want to thank our two speakers, Jack and Lucas, for their time and efforts. So thank you for everyone who came and everyone online. So as we usually do, we'll have a recording of this event put up on our YouTube channel. You'll all hear about that one. If you want to be involved in more activities like these, obviously we run these workshops monthly, and then also Jim has been leading a weekly CTF challenge. So you'll actually join Jim and a few others over Discord, and you can get involved in doing some hacking challenges to get, as part of a team to get us on leaderboards internationally. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to come up. Thank you all for coming, and yeah, have a good night. Thanks a lot.